Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris Crook. I'm one of the English teachers here at Rendar, and this is my third or fourth, it must be more than my fourth now, maybe even fifth or sixth presentation that I've done on this lecture. We're going to be looking today at something that I think is quite relevant. A lot of my students have come to me in the Writing Centre and they've been asking me how to write a personal statement for a foreign university. So today I'm going to go through the structure, what you need to have on the personal statement, things that we can look at to make it even better, and some other things that I hope will try and give you a better picture, a better idea of what to actually include on the personal statement. So a brief overview of what we're going to be looking at today. We're going to be looking at an overview of the application process so that you know what's happening behind the scenes, kind of, so to speak, when you submit your essay, when you submit your personal statement. It's kind of important to know what happens after you after you send this off, and who looks at it, what they look for, the process that goes on. It will vary from institution to institution, but there is pretty much a set process that goes on. We're going to look at the importance of the personal statement, why so many people insist on it, why so many institutions require it. Actually, if you're going through UCAS in the UK, then this will be something that you will have to do. There will be no, it's not an either-or option. It will be something that you have to do. And we're going to have a look at why the institutions insist on it and what the institutions are expecting it from that. Very, very briefly, we're going to look at some structure, and we're going to look at some ideas of what you can include on your personal statement. We're also going to look at things that included in this section is going to be things that how to show that you've got work experience even if you don't actually have any work experience. I know it sounds a little bit backwards, but we're going to have a look at how you can enhance your personal statement and without lying or plagiarizing or copying from other sources. So that will be something that we're looking at. And in the final process, the final part, we're going to be looking at actually getting down to writing your personal statement, the process that you need to do, the things that you need to think about, and the actual redrafting process that you need to go through with that. Okay. We'll start off by having a look at the deadlines for undergraduate courses. Medicine, dentistry, veterinary medicine, you'll be looking at quite an early deadline. It's going to be the 15th of October in the UK. Most others will need, they will need at least by January 15th. This will be January 15th to start in the September semester, September-October semester after the same year. So they will need it the same year. If it's medical, if it's dentistry, you'll be looking at, again, a few months early. You'll need to be looking at getting into October. So you need to start thinking basically a year ahead of when your course starts. Most of the other courses will start January 15th. In the US, where they're looking at even earlier, so they're looking at 4 courses that start in, let's see, we're in 2018 now, so for courses that start in 2019, they'll be looking at November this year. So if you're going to go on a US course, you should have got your application in by now at least. Okay. Why is this important? Well, basically because you want to get your application in early. You want to be on the top of the pile. You want to actually be the first 5 or 6 that actually come through the letterbox at the university. You want to make sure that you've got a good personal statement and that you're making a good first impression and that it's in early to show that you're organized. You can, in the UK, you can go through a process called clearing in the UK, which that happens over the summer break. That is basically the leftover places that they've got on the courses. Universities love to fill up the courses, the places on the courses, so they get more money for that. So the more people that get sat down in a lecture, the more money they get from the local council. So they're in a good position to offer you a course. In the UK, you should be, I'm from England, so I have most experience with this. In the UK, you should be looking at choosing at least 5. You've got an option of 5 institutions on the university selection. So choose those 5, and then you'll be in a much stronger position later when other people start getting their applications going in. You'll be in a much stronger position to choose basically your top choice, your preferred choice, and your insurance choice. Importantly to remember is that they are blind choices. So when you submit your application through UCAS, which I do strongly encourage you to do because it is a free service. It's not free, it is quite cheap, it's not free. When you submit your application through UCAS, they are blind choices. So one university, if you apply for the University of Leicester and the University of Southampton, neither university will know that you've applied for the other one. Leicester won't know about the application to Southampton, Southampton won't know about the application to Leicester. It is blind and nobody knows your other choices except you on your application data form on the website. We'll look at that later on. The other important thing about university applications, getting them in early, is that you need to actually have time to do other exams that you'll need to do. So for medical and law, you'll be looking at the BMAT, you'll be looking at LNAT, you'll be looking at all these extra courses. You won't need to do a GRE to get into a university in the UK, but you will need to get your IELTS score in. If your IELTS score is, I think it's maybe something like half a point scale down. So if you need 5.5 or you need 6, and you get 5.5, or you need 5.5 and you get 5, you'll actually be able to make up that time. Some universities do run summer schools. You'll be able to actually make up that extra 5, that extra half a grade that you need on the university-run course. So get the application in early. There is nothing like, I mean, you'll need to organise flights. You'll need to organise transportation. There might be an interview. There's a lot of things to do around the application. There are a lot of exams to do. There are a lot of things to do as in addition to actually writing the personal statement and doing the application. Make sure you manage your time, importantly. So by the end of March, you should be looking at, the deadline is, for most universities, this is the absolute last, down to the wire thing. Leaving it to the last minute is going to be, March. By the end of April, that will be your deadline to make your two top choices. So you'll get the responses back from the universities, and then you'll be able to choose which one you really want to go to. You'll be able to choose your ideal choice, choose the insurance choice, and then with the universities and move forward with the process on that. At the end of August, you've got your results. We're going to have a look at those later on. What do you do if you get disappointing results? We're going to have a look at those. You get your results. You have your confirmation of your places, and if need be, if the results are disappointing, one exam is not as good as you expected it to be, then you'll be able to go through clearing towards the end. Clearing, like I said, is just basically casting about for similar courses, maybe not your ideal institution, but it will be a place on a university course that will get you on that kind of, it'll get you first foot in the door, basically. Okay. Things to remember about the personal statement is that all the institutions that you apply to have slightly different processes. They also have slightly different criteria. They don't just have one person going yes, no. They don't just have two piles of things where they choose yes and then they choose no. They don't do that. They have a very detailed list of criteria of what they're looking for in the ideal candidate. It doesn't all come down to your grades and what you've done. This is why we're doing this lecture here. Practices will vary. More people will use it than not use it. It's pretty much a standard thing. It's something that you'll be looking at, putting in quite a lot of effort to get the information into your personal statement. It will be something that you'll be asked for. It's a standard thing. It's a normal thing. Everybody has to do them. I had to do them years ago when dinosaurs ruled the earth. I was applying for college. I had to do one. I had to ask for help. It's not something that you can just knock off. The day before the deadline. As it says at the bottom, we're going to look at these different factors that will be used in conjunction. The idea is that people will be painting a picture of your academic record so far, and your academic record does not just count with the grades that you've got and any work experience that you've got. You've got to show things. You've got to go a little bit deeper with that. Okay. The reason why is because there is more of a trend to move away from standardized testing now. We want to see well-rounded university students surviving in a university environment. Okay. The personal statement for a lot of people is basically the only chance that they will get to talk with the university staff. And the admission staff, we'll look at later on, the admission staff are not necessarily the people who will be teaching, the professors that will be teaching the course. They might not even be the head of the department. The head of the department might get a short list, but there will be a group of what we call admissions officers that are very good at their job. They've been doing it for a long time, and they know what they're looking for in an institution, and they know they'll be able to spot dodgy applications a mile away. Okay. If you're called to an interview, this happens occasionally to UK students as well. I was called to an interview just basically to go and have a look, to talk with the tutor, and talk about what my plans were for the future and what my career plans were for the future. It happens sometimes. It can be an informal thing. It can be a formal thing where it really does kind of count towards your university application. It is 50-50. They either will call you or they will not call you. And I think for international students, it's something that you'll be looking at. It will something that will probably more likely happen to you because you're an international student, and they really want to get an idea of basically the way that you communicate, what kind of person you are. It doesn't really come across very well in the personal statement. The personal statement is a good first step, but the interview is really where people, meeting someone face to face, getting to know them, getting to see how they react is just not the same as reading someone's academic achievements. The exam results are useful. The whole point of the university is basically, first of all, it's to get the certificate and get a higher education, but it's also to show that you can actually commit to a long period of time. This is going to be something like, it's going to be either a 4-year undergraduate, a 4-year bachelor's, or it's either going to be a 1-year, really intense, focused, crazy year in the UK, 2 years in the US. You need to focus on this. You need to show that you're committed to this 2 years and that you're not just going to be doing everything at the last minute. There will be a lot of group work in the university. There'll be a lot of socializing in the university. You need to show that you're going to be able to survive in a foreign country, surviving in a foreign language, learning in the foreign language. There will be no break from the English. You will have to do everything in English over there. A lot of people don't really think about that, and you need to really express that in your personal statement as well. The way that the academics are working these days, the high level of academic excellence is just unbelievable right now. Many applicants, many of your competition will have incredibly high grades, incredibly good grades. They will be really good, and you need to make sure that you're really good as well. One of the problems with this is that once you're really good, you have to continue being really good as well. So you can't just be really good for that one moment with the personal statement. You have to continue that through for the master's degree, the diploma, the PhD. You need to be able to commit to that level of independent study. Okay. The personal statement is not something where we will be looking at you to criticize your English or to criticize the way that you've been studying or anything like that. It is your chance to show why you are different, why you will be contributing to the class discussions, why you'll be contributing to the university life. The university life is very isolated. It's almost monastic, really. It's almost like going off to a monastery. It's not really the real world. You don't have a job. You have to manage your time, but you won't have a boss breathing down your neck all the time. It's a lot of independence. You'll get a lot of a mix of international students from across Europe, from outside of Europe, from China. You really need to show that you can add to this mix and that other people will be able to benefit from your presence at the university. The personal statement is essentially your electronic interview. It is your written interview where you have to predict what questions are going to be answered, and then write down the answers, give context, give background, and give out a well-rounded answer, as if you were in a job interview for the university. So this is why the personal statement is a key. So with a lot of things, as with almost everything in life, the first impression always counts. We have things like accuracy is important. Your exam results, of course, are very, very important. Your choice of course, this is vital. If you're struggling with writing the personal statement, the odds are you're probably on the wrong course. If it's a nightmare, if you're plowing through, if you don't know how to juice it, if you don't know how to kind of boost it and make it more impressive, you're really on the wrong course. The course is not exciting you, and you can't just write down, I think I'm going to get a good job at the end of it. You can't say that. They're not interested in that. They're interested in your educational experience at the university. Last thing that you'll need, any predicted grades that you've got, and any references from the school, any references from the college, any academic references at all would be useful. The more that you can get, the better. The more impressive that you can get from a recognized source, the better. Okay. So the first four, accuracy, you need to do accuracy, exam results, first of course, predicted grades. You need to carefully research these. You need to make sure that you're getting it right. Okay. You will be the person to lose out if you don't get this right. If you're slightly off on this, if you're talking about a slightly different course, you got a little bit confused. You've been researching the course, you've got a little bit confused about what course you're actually going for. You're writing for course A when you're actually going to be taking course B. Make sure that you stay on topic, make sure that you stay focused, make sure that you've got relevant grades, that you don't include, your high school geography exams when you're going for a public relations course. Basic mistakes like that. Make sure you've researched it, make sure it's relevant, make sure everything joins up logically. Okay. The academic reference that you're looking at, the first thing is basically your academic performance. Have you been scoring highly? Have you been scoring average? What's your attitude to the work? How have you approached the work? Have you been asking questions? Have you been taking the answers to those questions on board? Okay. Because these all go through, and the university is always looking at potentially great students that will stay on to do research for the university. So you need to really remember that the university is also scouting for academic staff itself. So the academic staff will more than likely be, prospective PhD students, which will go on to be assistant professors and then full professors, and they will go on hopefully to go and have a career at that university. That's what the university is ideally. That's the perfect candidate that people are looking for. Your academic record will show people how suitable you are for the course. They will not be shy in saying you've got a very good academic record, but we don't think that you'll be a good fit for this university. That's something to keep in mind as well. That they need to protect. They need to protect the fallout rate. They need to reduce the dropout rate, and they do this by assessing someone's suitability for the course and how well they're going to commit to the course and whether they think they're going to see it through to graduation with a decent grade. The reason for this is that the universities really thrive on positive feedback. They want you to have a good experience at the university, but they also have a duty to provide you with an education. So the idea is that you will go on a course that you want to do, you will take a lot from the course, you will be challenged on the course, and you will appreciate how those challenges turn you into a better employee at the end of it. So and then they will be asking you, so what did you think of the course? You will need to say some nice things so that they can put it on the prospectus to advertise to other potential students. Okay. Down at the bottom of the list, the last two, the potential for surviving on campus. This is the most important thing, that they don't want people who are going to be asking questions about every little tiny thing. They will expect you to be an adult. If you're over 18, especially if you're over 20, they will expect you to be able to survive in an adult manner. They do not have the time to go around and babysit a young Chinese student who's never lived away from home. They just don't have time for this, okay? The more resources that you suck up asking questions that you should know the answers to, the more resources you're stealing from someone else. So the administration's office or the tutor or the course, they don't really have that much time to go and show you how to pay your bills or how to pay your rent or what happens when you lose your pass card for the university accommodation. If you've got problems with your landlord, they don't have time for this. Okay, they're also looking at what you can contribute to the university. The university is seen as a community. They want people from all different backgrounds, all different cultures to merge together and actually teach other students as well. So you're not going to be just learning from the professors. You're going to be teaching. You're going to be, an ambassador for your country on campus. Okay. So things that you've got to have in there, you've got to have these things in there at least. Make sure that at a very, very basic level, you've got these in there. It is essential that you try and get these, cover these bases at the very least. Okay. The writing that you will do around this basic skeleton that we've got will add your personal commitment, your personal motivation to that. You want to say that you've got these results and that it's going to help you move forward, and you've actually got kind of like the inner focus, the inner drive to actually commit to this course, that you're not just doing it for the money. You've not just heard that being an engineer is a good job, that will be a good pension plan. You need to show that you've got this commitment here. As well, we talked about suitability for the course, suitability for the institution. You've also got to look at your competition. So there will be a mix of students, not just Chinese students that will be applying for it. There will be a good mix of international students. There's a limited number of these places. This doesn't mean that you need to resort to cheating or plagiarism to get that place, but you need to be aware of your competition. You need to look at the standard that they're already admitting to the university from last year and see what those students have got. You also need to look at how you think objectively, how you measure up to the competition that you think is going to be going to that course as well. Have a look at the international students clubs. Have a look at the student unions. See what the other Chinese students have done before that. Are you better? Are you worse? You need to really think about this in an objective way. Admissions tutors are looking for someone who is a well-rounded individual, who doesn't panic, who doesn't have any real emotional problems. They will accept some emotional problems. Living away from home is emotionally trying. They want someone who is ready for university. They want someone who is ready academically, who is ready to go off and do that independent study, and they want someone who can actually live in a young environment. This is a young environment with not much supervision. There will not be very many rules. There will be a lot of drinking. There will be relationships springing up. There will be relationships breaking up. You need to be emotionally prepared for all of this. You might be thinking that I'm just going to go abroad and study. Best laid plans, that can all get thrown out the window. It's a young environment. There are a lot of hormones there. Despite your best plans, despite your best efforts to stay on focus, relationships do have a bad habit of cropping up and causing a lot of emotional problems. You're not really going to be able to go to your teachers and ask for emotional help. There will be counselling available, but it won't be from your course tutor. Okay. What the admissions tutors look for, they look for good reasons, good solid reasons that are not superficial, that are very deep for choosing the course. You need to say that you're going to take something from this course. You need to say that you're going to give something back to the university. Any specific skills that you've picked up, one of the things that we do here at Renmin University is we do the public speaking, we do the academic writing. We do looking at research for the American culture classes, looking at research for the speaking and listening. Doing all these courses really does help you. And even if you don't like doing those courses, you'll be able to say, we've done this and I've taken this away from it. These will always be things that we call transferable skills. We'll be looking at that. Enthusiasm for your subject. You don't need to go too crazy with this. You do need to be focused on it, and you do need to be excited about being able to see the subject that possibly you've done it for 4 years in a Chinese university. Try and show that you're excited about seeing how it's done in another university from a different perspective, in a different culture. Don't just say that it will look good on my CV. These superficial reasons, it will look good on my CV. I want to have this. I want to have that. We're not really looking at that. We're not really interested in your career at the university. We want you to have a good career, but we are primarily interested in you staying the course and you being educated. The actual the monetary benefits that you get at the end of it are just secondary byproducts, really. Any work experience that you've done, any voluntary work that you've done, we're going to have a look at how you can actually work this in. There's a specific way of using this in the personal statement, and any career plans. The semesters go very, very quickly. We're already at the midterm. We've already done the midterm on this semester right now, and this is a long semester now. This is an 18-week semester. Time does go quickly, and graduation day has a nasty habit of kind of really just going, hey, graduation day is here. You need to really be prepared for that graduation day, because in a foreign university, when your visa date is up, I know this from personal experience, you've got to be on that visa date in your passport. You've got to be able to hit the ground running and be able to move on to the next thing. You can't suddenly start panicking after you've just picked up the diploma. Okay. In terms of the social side, Have you taken a year out? Have you done a gap year? Have you gone off volunteering in Malawi looking after turtles and sea turtles coming up on the beach? Have you done this thing? Have you lived by yourself? Have you had to be independent at any point? We need to be looking at that. Have you been working with a team? These are all good transferable skills. Your motivation, your commitment to the university environment. Are you going to be able to fit in? Are you going to be comfortable in that environment? Do you have these transferable skills that we just talked about? Will you be able to show how you can apply those skills? And any extracurricular hobbies you've got, interests that you have. Again, you've got to make these relevant. You've got to make these focused on the course. You can't just say that I want to do PR because I want to go and live in Japan because I love watching Japanese movies. You've got to make it a little bit deeper than that. You've got to look at going a little bit deeper and a little bit more relevant. The question that people are asking is going to be, why you? What do you offer? Okay, you need to sell yourself in this. Who is the admissions officer? The admissions officer, as I've said, is not just someone who judges yes or no. They are a group of people. It's a gestalt entity. It's a group of about 6 people, 7 people. It's a department. They have very specific criteria. They're a team. The things that you shouldn't really expect is that the professor that teaches the course or the head of the department that teaches the course is probably not going to be the person who finally approves it. There will be a shortlisting process. There will be a long list and then there will be a short list. The academic could be involved. Don't expect the academic to be involved. If there's technical terms in your personal statement, make sure that these things are, make sure that you explain these things for non-technical people. Okay. First things first, don't write anything cute. Don't try and be funny. Don't try and be witty. Don't try and be clever. You don't know who's going to be reading it. So be as normal as you can, okay? The personality will come later with the social bit. You can wait till the social side of the university, then you can be as wild and as crazy as you want to be. The personal statement, you have to be grown up about it, you have to be adult, present a well-organized statement, use factual evidence, don't try and show off, use straightforward language. You don't know who's going to be writing this, okay? The breakdown of it is going to be 80 to 90% academic, and then the last 10 to 20% is going to be made up of skills, hobbies, interests, and summarizing why you would be a good choice, why people should give you this place on the university. Okay, that's basically what you're looking at. If there's a lot of filler about vacation times and gap years, if that's creeping in and the percentages are going up, you need to really redraft and look at getting around 80% at least of the academic stuff in the. That would be the same thing. The word limits for undergraduate students, they're going to be 4,000 characters. This is all done online, by the way, for undergraduate courses. Postgraduate, if you're looking at applying directly to the university, then it's going to be, I think we've seen personal statements that are about 1,000 words. And you might have to, I've seen some personal statements, especially for Dartmouth, for Wharton School of Business. I've seen that you have to basically write an essay on a topic that they give you. So be aware of the word limits. UCAS, most British students will get a limit of 47 lines, 4,000 characters, or it's about 500 words. It's going to be a bit of a challenge to get your passion, your focus, your commitment, your academic achievements into that 500 words. It's not something that you can just rush through at the last minute and mail it off and hope that it gets there before, midday the next day on special delivery. Think about it. Be aware of the word limits. Make sure that you've got the right mix of things in there. Suitable students, this is the key thing, that if you're really passionate about the course, if you're committed to the course, if you're excited about the course on the inside and it really drives you and it really spins your wheels, you might often find yourself editing down rather than scratching around for bits to fill up the word count. Don't scrape the bottom of the barrel. Make sure that you've got enough there. If you can't do it, rethink your choice of course. I'm sorry, that's the thing. It just goes back to that. You've probably got a bad course. Paragraph 1, you should be looking at what is your personal trigger, why are you interested in this course, what piqued your interest to begin with. Talk personally about your interest. Talk about the personal impact that it's had on you. How has it changed your life? How has it changed your view on certain events? More importantly as well is to show that you don't live in a what we say an ivory tower, that you live isolated in academia. it's often a good idea to actually show how your subject can relate to current events. So is there any relation with, say, Chinese-American relations? Is there any relation with what we've just had, the Paradise Papers or things like that? People dealing with tax, Amazon dealing with tax, Apple dodging tax. Global events that affect us all, like terrorism, health issues like obesity and the aging population. Can you tie it into any of these ideas, any of these real world problems that we're seeing today? So think about the structure, think about your introduction. It will be the first thing that people read. Possibly might be a good idea to actually write this one last after you've gone through. Okay. We'll have a look at this one here. This is a very, very quick example that you don't just copy and paste things from the internet. We've got this one here, this example here, which is I think English literature, I think. They're mentioning a lot of names here. They've got things like, Jack Kerouac, On the Road, Catcher in the Rye, Hemingway, Lee, Fitzgerald. The sentences that I've underlined here, they're nice sentences to have in, but they look like they've been taken from the back of the book that the person's been reading. What we need to be looking at is we need to be looking at the reasons why this has made the writer think this. So these novels capture the dissatisfaction that many people experience with their society. Okay, so why do you think that? What insights do you have? Okay. Avoid this list of things that you just read that sound nice on the internet. This is very, very tempting if English is your second language. Have you thought about why these things are important? Put that in there. Make people think. Make people realize that you can actually do this without being prodded by a teacher or without being threatened with a grade. You would do this anyway. That's always great. Paragraph 2, you should be looking at the subject. You should be looking at getting into the meat and potatoes, which is the academic list of things. Your interest in the subject, anything that you've done in college. You've got to make this relevant, though. If you're applying for a geology course, if you're applying for law, probably not a good idea to emphasize your basketball, your high school basketball team, unless you can actually take something from that and make it relevant. Any trips that you've been on, any books that you've read, have you done any independent reading? Do you subscribe to any magazines? Things like this. Have you watched any documentaries? Just anything that you can think of that is relevant that will be able to enhance it, okay? We want to avoid this idea of a shopping list. We want to have some insight. We want to have some evidence that you've actually thought about the topic. Okay. You don't have space to write down everything. There's always that word count that is going to come up and catch you. You can't just write down a big long laundry list. I see this a lot. You can't just do that. Show what your insights were. Show what you took away from the course. Show what you got from it. Okay. Make them relevant, link them together. Don't just throw them in because it's all you've done. Choose the strongest ones, put those in, make a strong base, a strong statement from that. Okay. In the final paragraph, the paragraph 3, you'll be looking at the wider skills here. You'll be becoming more general, winding down, slowing down to the conclusion. Always make sure that you're making things relevant. Your non-academic activities should be able to somehow tie in with your academic activities. If you took a gap year, for example, what did you do on the gap year? What did you take away from it? What did you learn? How were you changed as a person? How did your perspectives change? Did you change something did you change the way that you do something and suddenly get much higher grades? Give your non-academic achievements here, yeah, sure, but make it relevant, okay? What you have to really show is that how you're going to move from your life now, whatever your studying habits now, whatever your timetable is now. Remember, there's a lot of independent study. The longer that you stay at university, the more it's on you. It's on you about how you change and how you adapt. Are you going to be able to take what you've experienced here in a Chinese university and take that through to 20 to 30 hours a week of independent study in the library and going to the lectures, okay? You're just going to be on your own. You have to find your own way of this, okay? Brainstorming, you'll be looking at everything that you've got in the last 3 years, okay? Travel, volunteering, the student newspaper, radios, extracurricular groups, anything. Write it down, get it linked together. Look at these ideas. How can you draw connections from them? These are all really great things that if you look at them deeply enough, you will be able to get some information from them. Transferable skills are the key thing. Will you be able to take those forward into an academic environment in another country? This is the key thing. Ask yourself the question, what did you learn from this? Show that you learned something. That is the key thing, okay? These have gone a little bit odd on the... We're looking at transferable skills. You might be able to read that. Intellectual flexibility, commitment, self-awareness, enthusiasm, analysis, communication, problem solving. These are all transferable skills. Look at what, have you developed these? Have you been in an environment where you've used them? Ask yourself these questions, okay? You might be able to, you know, did you go on holiday? Did you go on a field trip? Did you play video games? These are all typical things. If you look at these, you will be able to draw these out. You will be able to connect them in, okay? Not everybody has your advantages. That is something to really kind of keep in mind. But do be more reflective, okay? Don't just say that I have got a great family and I have got these advantages and no one else has been an assistant to the CEO of Cena because my father knew him. Not everybody has those advantages. It doesn't really impress people that much, okay? Don't list your hobbies, but do sit down and think, how will you, the actual skills that you need, the actual mechanical skills or the thought processes that you need for your hobbies, how are these going to be transferable to a university life, okay? For example, if you're into watching movies, don't say that you enjoy going to the cinema. Focus on the genre, focus on directors, focus on style, focus on the actual country of the films, okay? Give context, make sure that it's relevant with this. I try to avoid these kind of boring little memory things, but think ABC, activity, benefits, and course. Activity, what is it? Benefits, what did you get from it? And the course, how do all those things tie together in the thing that you're trying to apply for, okay? The fourth paragraph, remind people what you've told them, remind people why you've been to why you want to go to the university, why you deserve to be offered a place on the course, and why you think you're best prepared to be going on this. This is the final thing. You should be reminding people what you told them and leaving a good, strong final impression in people's minds, okay? In terms of enhancing your personal statement, you need to look at how you can tie in your non-professional experience with the university course. Not everybody has that professional experience. University life in China is just basically a university life. It's an academic thing, and it's going to be very, very difficult, very, very tough to actually get that professional work experience. You're not going to be a doctor. You're not going to be, defending people in court at age 18. Only a handful of courses really value practical experience like law and medicine. Some students do have fantastic placements, some don't. Just try and make it relevant, try and make it a rewarding thing. Look at public lectures. Have you attended any of these public lectures? Do you subscribe to any electronic magazines? Have you engaged, have you written articles, have you engaged with an audience on some level? This is all experience that is related to the course, okay? Try and emphasize that, try and say that you've been able to discuss it in an open forum with like-minded people. You can actually go on to university websites and engage on the larger online courses that they've got. You're going to be studying this in really microscopic depth on a master's course. Start now, okay? Start now. If you can't do it by yourself now, you're not gonna survive on the course. You're gonna have to come back to China with your tail between your legs, wondering about what the hell happened to your future, okay? Widen your reading beyond the syllabus. Read the university websites, to subscribe to journals, do the free online courses. They tend to rotate every 6 or 8 weeks. Go beyond the textbooks. You'll need to do that. Everybody else will on the course, okay? For example, you can have a look at this taken from, this is from a university, this is MIT, and Principles of Macroeconomics. They do this online course. It's free. Go and sign up. If you want to, you can make a donation. You don't need to make a donation to get a taste of what you're going to be looking at. Do it. Get the little, print out the little certificate at the end of it. Put it on the personal statement. Go to the engineering. Go and sign up for these courses. Go and sign up for these newsletters. You can actually go and have a look at that. University of Southampton. They do these little courses. They do these short courses in history. They do these short courses in medicine. Go and do them. Can you take it? Can you commit to it? See if you can do that. We're looking at something positive phrasing. For example, we're thinking not just I can cope with the work quite well, but think about words like thrive, passion, gain, strengthened, enhanced, furthered. Think about these very strong adjectives, these very strong verbs. You've not just learned something and passed an exam, you want to look at how you've enhanced. Write and rewrite, write and rewrite. Don't rely on being interviewed. Your personal statement is the interview, okay? Don't use cliches, don't try and be funny, don't try and waffle on, don't use underdeveloped lists. Write it down, rewrite it, draft, brainstorm. Yes, the grammar is important, yes, the vocab is important. You're going to be doing a lot of writing. You're going to be doing a lot of term papers, you're going to be doing a lot of thesi, you're going to be writing these things. Add your own views, add your own comments, do use your own experiences. Come across as a live person who's got a brain, okay? What the admissions officers have said, tell me about you as a real three-dimensional person. Be yourself. It's a pleasure when you read a statement and the candidate's own voice comes across clearly. Write it in your own style. Go and read other people's styles. Copy that. Does it seem to suit your personality? People want to know about you as a person. That's the most important thing. Don't go overboard with it. Don't go crazy with it. I used my wisdom and sincerity. You're 19 years old. You're 20 years old. Do you really have wisdom and sincerity? Final thing to remember is that it is a university application. It's not The Apprentice. You're not going to have your career shattered by this, okay? Plan, redraft, 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 redraft. Keep a copy in case you're called to interview. Make sure that you've got a copy. Make sure that you've been reading through. Develop key ideas, move forward, okay? A good interview might be able to cover up lower than expected grades on the results day. The key thing is that you come across as someone who can contribute, and if they have that and if they get a good impression from you, they may be able to forgive you for that, because basically you have a bad day on your exams. That will always happen, okay? Don't plagiarize, don't be lazy, and don't be worried that your own voice is not good enough. That's not the case, okay? One final thing that I will leave you with: plagiarizing, the universities do check, okay? It comes up here, you can probably see that at the bottom there. 64% plagiarized from other sources. This is another one. It actually lists down here previous UCAS applications. They do check for these things, so don't do it, okay? And you will be blacklisted and people will know about you. There is no perfect personal statement. There are elements that you do need to get into the personal statement. Sell yourself. Use your own voice. Don't be frightened of that. Don't go overboard with being funny or witty or charming, or don't go too mental with that. Try and present yourself as a well-rounded student, a well-rounded person who is excited to go on the course. Use your own voice, and of course, the best of luck with your application. Okay. Thank you very much, and I will hopefully talk to you later on.